This is a voice recording where I'm going to be reading part of a novelette. It's a little longer than a short story. It's about 35 pages. That is kind of paranormal, kind of mystery, more on the paranormal side. It's called Anna's Lullaby, and this is by Luna Rugova, and I am going to be reviewing this book for her later, but I thought that this is as good a time as any to read this in a pretty cool voice as we go through it. So I've not read anything thus far. This will be a bit of a preview into it. I will leave links to like her Amazon page where you can get this on Kindle Publishing, you know, the page where you can download the book. And yeah, let's get into it. Chapter 1. I did my best not to glare or fidget. I should have gone to sit in a lounge with my lazy brother. The receptionist stared at her screen, batting her fake eyelashes one too many times while waiting for the system to reboot. Drumming his fingers on the countertop in rhythms, Uncle John seemed unfazed by the snail-like service. After 3 long minutes without looking up, the receptionist finally said, "May I have your credit card, please?" Uncle John handed his credit card to the receptionist as she pulled up our reservation. "Okay, Mr. Hopkins, I see you've reserved 2 rooms for 4 days. Unfortunately, our system has mistakenly overbooked our rooms. There are no vacant rooms left. However," the receptionist took a quick breath before she continued, "we do have a 2-bedroom cabin located right behind the inn. Would you like a free upgrade for the cabin?" "Free upgrade?" "It's an old cabin, but a lovely one. The kitchen and bathroom are both renovated," the receptionist further explained. "What do you think?" Uncle John asked me. I shrugged. "Why not?" "Nate, you okay with the cabin?" My brother's eyes remained glued to his phone. "Heck yeah." "Sure, we'll take it," Uncle John said. The central heating and air in the cabin are not working at the moment, but we have electric heaters in the bedrooms, and the fireplace works nicely, so you shouldn't have any problem keeping yourselves warm, the receptionist said without a break. Aside, I really like how the flow of the dialogue's going here. I'm going to be putting my own asides in here with my analysis of things, but I'll preface it by saying aside and then back to the writing. But sometimes it's hard to tell who's talking one line or another if you don't lead the lines with the dialogue tag. But like there, I could naturally pick up on, oh yeah, this makes sense for something that the receptionist is going to say. So just looking at the first couple of words, I could switch to that voice. That's good voice management among characters. I'm probably not going to be consistent with my voices that I'm just making up here. So continuing on. "What kind of fireplace do you have?" Uncle John asked. "Gas burning. It's rather new," the receptionist explained. "Sounds good to me," Uncle John said. "Great, I'll make arrangements right away. It'll just take a moment." The receptionist's fingers danced on the keyboard. I took my belongings, sauntered to the lounge, and plopped down next to Nate. The entire inn screamed, "Needs TLC." The paint on the wooden frame of the chairs was chipped. The chair wobbled when I sat down. I wrinkled my nose as I caught a whiff of mold. The rug underneath the shaky coffee table is also showcasing several ancient stains. A few cobwebs hung on the artificial plants, which turned gray by a thick layer of dust. I would have suggested that we go to a different inn, but unfortunately, this was the only one in the whole town. "All rooms are booked? Not surprised when there are only 20 to start with. From 2 rooms to a cabin. Anyone would take it in a heartbeat, no matter how old it is," Nate said as he pulled his phone away. See, I couldn't tell who was talking there, so it's a bit of a more ambiguous thing. Sorry for the aside, back to the writing. "Anyone like us, let's hope the cabin isn't as dusty as this plastic plant. I'm kind of excited for this fireplace," I said. "Do you think the cabin holds any secrets?" "There you go again. You've read too many adventure novels," says someone who binge watches Indiana Jones every 2 weeks. "Nate, Marie," Uncle John called out to us. I guess the other character, the main character, I, is female here, but I'm just going to play it straight with a neutral voice. That's another like poor indicator of like, oh, I guess like you pick up the novel and you read, oh, it's Anna's Lullaby, so I'm going to assume that the first person character is female. That's a bit of an assumption. There was no indications of the gender or voice of that initial character. There's nothing getting the reader into the headspace of the perspective character. I'm not going to say it's amateurish because it's fine. It's just I didn't have any lead. I'm just talking about like my voice performance of reading this, because I didn't have any lead into, okay, how do I craft this character? How do I craft anything about them? I still don't know anything about the characters. We're only a couple pages in. But this is like, a cold cut to the introduction where you're trying to show the characters rather than just telling, oh, this guy's handsome and brave. It's like, you're showing them. They seem like, a normal-ish family. Not much of a hook going on there. The hook here is, oh, spooky cabin, or I guess spooky. Cabin in a rundown inn, or behind a rundown inn. Oh, there might be some intrigue there. A bit of lamp shading with saying you've read too many adventure novels or whatever, because this is a novelette. But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's a stylistic choice. We'll see how it turns out. Uncle John was our father's older yet more reckless brother. See, as soon as I say something like that, they start doing character descriptions. So that's excellent timing when I start going, I'm getting a bit hungry for some character description. See, that's on pace. That's good pacing when I'm mentally expecting a bit more character description to get to know them better immediately. That's good. That's great. This is telling, but there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. This is appropriately paced telling because we've already had a little bit of a setup going on here. He was the older yet more reckless brother. He was all about wild adventures, and that's why we loved him. Ever since our father passed away 2 years ago, Uncle John had been helping a lot. He also started the tradition of taking us on trips during school breaks so our mother could take a breather. This fall break was no exception. We loved to explore run-down little towns, especially those in hidden little valleys, forests, or deserts even. Uncle John decided to visit this old town when someone had told him rumors about a hidden treasure. The rumors had started a few years ago, but no one was able to find this treasure. No, Uncle didn't pick this town for the treasure. It was highly possible that it was just another silly tale. But Uncle John wanted to make our trip more exciting, since this would be Nate's last fall break before he graduated from high school. Besides, the town's location in the heart of a valley and its fame for stunning autumn color caught our eyes anyway. If there really was a treasure, I was sure it would be the scenery and the memories we would make here. End of chapter 1. That's a fair ending to the first chapter there. Nice little wrapped up intro scene. Continuing on to chapter 2. Whoa, check out the moss and the rust. Nate said, I'm just gonna make him like Chad, bro, from now on. Whoa, check out the moss and the rust, Nate said as we arrived at the cabin. He softly kicked the rusty bucket on the front porch. Tiny bugs crawled out and scurried away. I know, isn't it lovely? My eyes glistened as I scanned the forest behind the cabin. The red and yellow leaves gave the surroundings a dreamy, vintage vibe. I inhaled the woody... I don't know this word. Phytoncides? The woody phytoncides? Greedily? I inhaled the woody phytoncides greedily. That's a weird sentence, bruh. Nate rolled his eyes at me. I'm rolling your eyes at that I'm rolling my eyes at your prior sentence. I'm being too harsh. It's fine. Uncle John unlocked the front door. Looks pretty nice inside. Despite the mossy exterior, the interior looked like a fairy tale come alive. Most of the furniture was made of wood, a coffee table, dining table, and chairs, and couch frames. Thankfully, none of them had been chipped with paint or had wobbly legs. No moldy No, wow, that's a hard sentence to pronounce. No moldy odor either. That's a tongue twister. No moldy odor. See, I did it again. No moldy odor either. I want to write that one down as a tongue twister. Add it to my collection. All right, continuing. I'm glad they don't have any stuffed animal heads hanging on the walls. I never understood why people are into that kind of stuff. I was literally watching this like point and click mystery where they're going for part of it. They're going to a hunting cabin to meet this guy where he's like, he's just getting some space away from his family after there's some tension. And he's in this hunting cabin, but the detective arrives there and is kind of waiting on him. So you're examining the cabin while waiting for the person to return. And they said the exact same thing when you click the point and click adventure. You click on the stuffed animal heads on the wall. I never understood why people are into this kind of stuff. That line exactly. I mean, it's hive mind. It's cliche. It's not cliche because it's a very niche thing. You're in you see taxidermy, and people are like, ugh, I don't get why people are into that. It's kind of like, I guess in a similar situation, if you see someone who has a collection of dolls and you are doll racist, you'd say, ugh, I don't get why people would collect these things. Their eyes follow you around the rooms. And saying things like that. Now, what makes things interesting is if someone looks at that collection of dolls and feels a sense of levity because they feel a sense of, like, when they had a greater imagination that they could paint all of these dolls with a character, or maybe they would literally paint them, and there'd be like a story with that. I remember I had a short thing, a short characterization that I did for a character where it was based off of one of my relatives. They were involved with making porcelain dolls, handmade porcelain dolls. But my relative would paint the eyes on the dolls, which is a very delicate process, and it's also one of the things where people get creeped out by the eyes of dolls, unless you're the one who painted them. Then it's more of like an extension of who you are. So that concept is not cliche. It humanizes something that people would usually dismiss as creepy out of hand. So seeing taxidermy on the walls, I don't get why someone's into this kind of stuff. I just had to go into that aside. Okay, I think this is fine for having an intro and also showing a little bit of my critique thus far. I'm not going to go any further with this. Again, this is Anna's Lullaby, a paranormal mystery novelette. Again, by Luna Rugova. I will have the links to the book in the description below. And thank you for listening. And yeah, I hope to be doing more voice recordings in the future. And also, if by chance the author hears this recording, if you want me to take it down, I'll take it down. If you want me to read more and post more, then I'll do that as well. And for this first piece, I wanted to just give a bit of criticism. If I do go on with like reading more of it, then I'm just going to read it straight. I'm not going to add like asides or anything into it. I just wanted to share a bit of my perspective because I am in the critique mode right now for reading this and writing a review on it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next recording.